There we go. Welcome everybody once again. It's my great pleasure to have our guest trainer, my wonderful teammate and friend, Darlene Reimer Fros. Darlene is about maybe 35, 40 minutes from where I live, maybe 45, somewhere in there. She is an RMT. She is an amazing photographer. She loves the outdoors. She also, it's ironic, her husband and I have a lot in common because we both love to hunt. So we share pictures among the field. And Darlene is just a tremendous leader. You've probably seen some of Darlene's videos before where she's done some phenomenal interviews with people that have had great experience, right from children to adults, and does a phenomenal job at carrying an interview with somebody that's had experience with our technology. And so it really, really gives me great pleasure as always. Darlene's been on here to train before. I look forward to putting the recording up on our channel, on the Vox Life channel, and putting it in our group. But I'm really excited and honored to have Darlene here tonight to train the field and share her wisdom on her topic called objections. And it may take little side roads here and there, so we're all prepared for that. But thank you, Darlene, and welcome to the call. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce and welcome Darlene Reimer Fros. Go ahead, Darlene.
Okay, thank you. Thanks to everybody for coming on the call. And if you have been in my videos, my Facebook Live videos or anything like that, you know that my Wi-Fi is a bit sketchy. So Terry, if I all of a sudden black out, then just call me back up and
I'll pick you up.
So I do have an extender, but it's not always there either. But I am going to get data. I promised myself I would get data before Christmas. So we'll solve that.
Just 1 second, Darlene, before you get started. I'm just going to mute everybody.
Yep.
Hang on 1 second. I'm going to mute everybody, and then I'll unmute you again. And okay, Darlene, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, I got it. So yeah, Terry and I met for coffee, and we got talking about something that I could possibly train on, and what direction we were going to go with it. So I called him up, and then he's like, "Well, maybe we should," So then we got talking again. And so with the topic of objections, I'm actually going to be taking it in 3 different directions. So it's possible because of my background, I'm used to 3-point sermons, but we'll take it in 3 different directions. So, or three points to this topic. So I have objections in 7. And because of, there was a conversation recently on our Facebook page about objections about the tech in regard to copper bracelets. So I wanted to go over the objections of the tech in general, not just as far as the sales, but also a big one that has been a big part of my journey has been the objections we have with ourselves and how that can hinder or strengthen what we do in our businesses. So objections in the tech itself, and then objections in ourselves. So those are the 3 things that I want to go on. And yeah, Terry, you're totally right. I'm kind of person. So if I get too deep into a rabbit hole, just pull me out.
You got it.
Okay. So of the sales. So first off, objections are not negative. So if you're taking notes, I want you to write that down. Objections are not negative. Okay? Because objections are a request for more information. It's not a no. It's a request for more information. So when you have an objection, it's not, so let's give you an example. So somebody comes up to your booth and says, "Oh, they don't work." They're not saying, "No, thank you, I don't want to hear about them." They're actually opening up a conversation. So that's worth the price of admission right there. So if you can change your perspective from the fact that an objection, "Oh no, they objected," an objection is merely opening up the door of communication so that you can reach out to them. They're asking you to reach out to them. If they didn't want to talk to you, they would have completely turned the other way and walked away. They would have said, no, thank you, and turned their back and walked away. There's a lot of different things they would have done to you if they didn't want to talk to you. Some of what they're going to challenge you with, maybe they just want to hear themselves talk. So try not to get wrapped into that. I'll talk a little bit about that. But objections are not necessarily, or they're not negative, but they're not necessarily your end of story. They're actually opening up as a request for more information. So honor and respect the ones that don't want to talk to you. Just let them go by. It's okay. You don't have to wrap everybody in, but also know that the objection is an explicit expression that a barrier exists between what they think and what you think, and they're challenging that. So that can change how you interact with people that come to a booth, or how you interact with even family members when they start to challenge you with what could be perceived as a negativity. That's all going to change now that you know that it's not a negative, because once you're in, and this is, I'll say this part right now. If you think that selling this technology is easy and that network marketing is going to make you a lot of money because selling socks is easy, no. You're going to have to do your homework. And there's the third part of this, and working in through it yourself. You'll understand this a little bit more, but it is your responsibility to understand what this tech is and what it does, so that you can interpret their objection and be able to respond correctly. So I'm not necessarily going to give you the answers to their objections. I want to give you the tools to be able to analyze what they're saying and respond appropriately. Angela Corns, I think it was today, maybe it was yesterday, on our Facebook Team Vaccination page, talked about understanding the tools that we give you, and that it was a really good. I think it was only a few minutes long, but go back, and she's wearing a purple plaid shirt. It's a great call. Little thing that she put up there, but she explains the fact that we need to give you tools. It's your responsibility to learn how to use them, because if we just tell you what to do and what to say, that's not going to help you, because you're not going to be able to analyze what's going on and respond appropriately. The same way the tech changes how our brain analyzes what's going on, and so that it can respond more appropriately, that's what we're kind of doing too. So this is the box for our business as well as the box for our brain. So the training comes with understanding that. So again, I'm going to encourage you to go back into the training calls that we've had from Dr. DeBrinket, especially on the e-smarter sleeves with Jay. Paul's been good about posting all that kind of stuff numerous times, so go back into them. But go back way back, because there's a lot of good calls that have been back there on these certain topics. And the more you get this in your head, the easier it's going to be to talk to people. Also, when somebody comes at you with an objection, know the direction that you want to take with them before you go to a show. So if you want to go and just tell everybody about Vox, that's great, but you also need to know that things might go as planned. So that's where you kind of have to have a number of different things in there. But what you can do is to be able to understand some of the objections of what people will have and how you can respond. So there's different ways that you can deal with objections. I'll give you, I think I've got two or three, that you can deal with the objections in particular. So when you're at a vendor booth and somebody comes up and they want to talk to you about the socks, you can actually block an objection before it actually happens. So if you can anticipate just by their posture and how they're coming up to you, you can actually block an objection before it actually comes. So take a look at body language. There's a number of different things that you can look up on the internet about how to understand body language. But if you get somebody coming up to you and they're crossing their arms and they're leaning back and they're looking at you over their eyebrows, you got a skeptic. And they're not really going to listen to you. You might want to play around with them a little bit and have a little bit of fun with them, but you've got a little bit of a road to hoe. So just be aware of that. But if you already block it and say, you don't think this works, do you? Well, I don't actually know what it is. So how could I know if it doesn't work? Exactly. You've just blocked that objection. So if you can read into some of that and address it before you get to it, so there's also things that you can do when people come up to your booth. There's a number of different things that you can do to say, to kind of draw them into your booth. One of them might be something like, have you heard of Vox before? Well, no, I haven't. And then you can go into that. But if you're seeing one of these skeptic things, you could say, tell me what I'm selling. You know, challenge them right off the bat. Just say, tell me what I'm selling. And they're like, you're selling socks. Looks like it, doesn't it? Not really. We're selling technology. And now they're like, what do you mean? It's a sock. Well, it's not really a sock. It's woven into the sock. But it's not a metal. It's not a drug. It's not plastic. You know, you can open up conversation when you create that curiosity. So there's that you come away with. There's also a lot of people that when you ask them that question, what am I selling? They're going to say compression stockings. And they say, well, some of them do have a compression component to them, but there's a lot more to it than that. These are actually a neurological product or a technology product. And it opens up conversation. So if you actually ask a question before they can say, well, those are diabetic socks. I have those. No, they're not. So there's things that you need to be able to have in your head already and have in your toolbox before they even get to your table, that you're going to know how to address them. So if you can block an objection before it even gets spoken, you're one step ahead of the game. So in that may come about in your conversations, and see if you can ask a question of them before they ask it of you. There's also questions about how much do they cost. So you're going to get an objection because they're going to think they're too expensive. So shift the perspective again. How much do they cost? Okay, how much have you been listening? What is this product? Well, it's a neurological product. Okay, what is this going to do for you? If you've been listening to me, what did this actually do for you? Well, if I remember correctly, it improves your balance, stamina, strength, flexibility. Okay, what's it worth to you? Or if this was put into a pill that you took one a day for 30 days, how much would you pay for that bottle of pills? Well, I don't know. He says, well, how much was your last bottle of nutritional supplements? Well, I don't know, 50, 55, 60 bucks. I don't know, something like that. Well, you're going to save money. You're only 35 bucks a pair. So again, shifting perspective is something of a good way of blocking that objection, rather than if there are some people you do need to just answer them right off the bat without anything else going on. But there's people you can play with. So I'm bad at this. I've actually played this little game with a few people. Mostly the guys, because the women are, you can relate to them because they care about their family. They want to do stuff. Guys are all about the specifics and, how fast does this car go and whatever else. So they'll ask me, how much are they? Because their wife has brought them over and says, you really need to try these socks. And they're all like, so then you start telling them about them and say, well, how much are they? And I look at them and with a straight poker face, 150 bucks a pair. Silence. And I just wait. It's very fun because they're like, oh, but all of a sudden they pay attention because it's expensive. And most times they don't shut off. Most times it's like, wow. And then I think, I'm just kidding. Because either that or they've totally lost color in their face. And then I say, just your arm is, I'm just kidding. They run between 35 and 50 bucks a pair, but they're worth $150. And then they're relieved, and then it's like they've got a deal. So certain people, you can kind of play with them and play that game a little bit with them. But again, you're changing the perspective. It's not about the price of a sock. You're talking about putting a health product on their body that will influence their brain. What is that worth to them? When you understand what it's worth to you, it's a lot easier to tell it to them. So again, shifting objections is one way that you can, or blocking the objection and shifting perspective is the way of overcoming objections. The second one that I want to go over is one that I'm big on, and people that have listened to my talks before, 100%, you have to listen to people. You can't go and just sell them a pair of socks. You have to listen to them. So when you get somebody coming in and they're skeptical and they don't really want to hear your spiel, there's a reason behind it. Find out. So people that have come up to my booth, all of a sudden they're walking by and it says, I've tried everything, nothing works. Turn them around. Tell me what you've tried. I'm no longer trying to sell you anything. Tell me what you've tried. I've tried this and this and this. What did they promise you? Well, they promised me this, this, and this. And what did you get out of it? Well, none of those things. Okay. What I can tell you is that this is going to affect the brain and how it responds with the body. And this is what we're doing. And would that be of interest to you? Because obviously from what you're telling me, again, you're listening, so you're going to re-say what they've already said. From what you've told me, none of those products are actually affecting the brain. Would you be willing to try something that affects the brain? Again, you're listening, you're acknowledging what they're going through, and you're making them feel like a real person and not just a lab rat. And that's pretty interesting for them to acknowledge the fact that somebody that wants to sell something to them actually might care. And if you're in the Voxination family, or if you're in the Vox family in general, you're caring, because people don't join this business to make a crap load of money. Like there are a few, but chances are, if you're on this call, you care about people. So I want to give you the tools to have you show people that you can care and how much you care just by listening to them. It's so simple, but so few people in the vendor world do that. So listen to what they're saying and ask them if what they've already gone through or what they've experienced, if it can be helped by affecting the brain, and then let them choose. So again, you're not going to force it down them, but we have a 30-day money-back guarantee that is just phenomenal. And it's so great to be able to say, would you be willing to try something that affects the brain at no risk to you in the long run? Because we now have an app, which is going to, we have the warranty thing, which they're going to get a piece of paper. So you're not going to be this person that just, fly by night, all of a sudden they're gone. They're going to get a note from head office that says, yes, we stand beside the person that sold you these, and they are able to stand behind the product and be able to do that. Hey, we match, Gary.
Yeah.
Awesome. So there's that to say about really, really listen, because again, even when they're talking about price, if you're listening, there's a reason behind it. They've spent a crap load of money on stuff. So find out a little bit more of their backstory. Find out about who they are, what they do, what they've been through, because chances are 90% of the people that want it are either for balance or pain. So, and people love talking about their pain. So let them talk. And it's hard at a vendor show when there's lots of people around. But I tell you, the few connections that you make are worth so much more than the hundreds of dollars of sales that you're going to make if you're making those connections. Those grab hold of this, and those people are going to want to share with other people. And so our mission to help 1 billion people, you can't really do that just by selling socks. Caring for each person that you sell them to, and it's not a unseen it's an attainable job. You can care about each person that comes to your booth. It's not that hard. We just have, so take it that way. So to listen and be able to ask questions and be able to answer their concerns rather than their questions. Comment, play with them a little bit if you feel free, but chances are they've spent a lot of money on stuff that doesn't work. So again, make those connections as far as what have they tried, what haven't they tried. Jay said it himself, there is nobody else that has what we have. So whatever they've tried, it's not what we have. You just have to get them to understand that. Good comments, just reading a couple. To acknowledge their position in their purchasing frame of mind. So if you're nursing home and people are coming through and their relatives or their parents or even their kids, if it's a special needs, they're in there for a reason. So they're looking for something in particular. At other types of vendor shows, they may not be. So if there's not an urgent need in their immediate contact, you may not have an ability to sell to that person. And that's okay. There are other people to reach. So the urgency of their need or the need of those around them is an important observation to make. So I was just at a vendor show recently, and we did there were some people coming through, and a middle to older age couple were walking through, and they were kind of intrigued a little bit, and they did stop and chat a little bit. And then I said, do you want to do the demo test? And I can do this on you. And so I did it on the gentleman, and I used the insoles, and right away the wife saw what was his balance, and she's like, you're kidding. And she kept looking at him and it's like, is this for real? And he's like, well, I think so, because it feels like it. It's like, people really don't know what to do with this stuff. But and all of a sudden the wheels started to turn, and they never did buy anything for themselves. It was very interesting. For the amount of interest that they showed, they didn't buy anything for themselves. They bought for her sister, who was going through chemotherapy, that needed some help with the side effects of her medications, and for healing, speeding of healing, or just getting the body in the best state possible. But seeing the demo done on her husband, okay, I don't need this, but I know who does. So again, making those connections, and not specifically sometimes going to them and their needs. Sometimes you need to branch out in your conversation, especially if they're just interested but not really interested. Branch out into that and just say, you know, oftentimes I'll peg them. I won't even say, who can you think of? It's like, you're thinking of somebody. Somebody's in your head right now because I can see it in your eyes. And it's like, well, yeah, my brother or my mom, or, you know, somebody is going through their head and you can see it. Don't be scared to acknowledge that. And if they say, well, no, I'm not thinking of anybody, they're lying. It's okay. They can lie because that's part of their protection from not having to buy anything. But you've planted a seed. So that's okay. And be able to work with that a little bit and work with them and understand that sometimes the original sale is not going to be the end of it. Sometimes they just want to try it on somebody first, and then they've got a list of 30 people that they need to reach after this. So it's coming, but you have to be patient sometimes, and you have to give them, because they've been burned so many times, be patient with them and allow them to process this and then to go through that, because they really need to trust you. And I think Erica posted something, and I've seen Brenna post that before, and it's a common saying in network marketing, but they have to know, like, and trust you. So if they don't know, like, and trust you, you're done. Like, they're not going to buy. But in order for them to know you, and this is where the Facebook Lives are coming in, as far as Ray Higdon is concerned, and my purpose in doing, like, I'm on a whole month-long thing, which I'm already regretting at day 3, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it. If they don't know you, they can't trust you. or if they don't like you, they won't trust you. So there's that whole aspect of me not liking social media that much. Tough luck, because if I want to reach the people in social media, they have to see me. And so I'm learning, and I'm hating how Facebook freezes you on your story thing, because it's so unflattering. And for somebody that does photography, it's like, oh, you can only put your best face forward, and it's like, oh.
It does it on Zoom too.
If you freeze me on that those things, I'm gonna kill you. But it's true. It's just it's reality. It's real life. When they see you in real life, they are more. Take that time sometimes at a vendor show to get to know people a little bit. It is hard just at a vendor show, so that's where your follow-ups come. I used to hate follow-ups, but I'm learning that it's not a follow-up to make another sale. It's following through with your commitment to help that person understand the tech and how to use it. So that completely shifted my thinking when I stopped looking at it as a follow-up and looked at it as a following through on my commitment to them. So that stopped my personal objection to sales and follow-ups. So the second two things that I wanted to go through, objections in the tech and objections in ourselves, is actually a lot shorter, because I am going to trust that you're going to do your own research on this, and I'm going to use the response that Jay himself gave to one of our teammates who posted about the copper bracelets, and how people were getting, they would parallel the two because the test was the same. Quite honestly, the copper bracelets, if you want to know, copper is an anti-inflammatory, so that's why your joints feel better when you wear the copper bracelets. So if you want to use that in one of your things, copper bracelets are great. Tommy copper socks are great, but they're only affecting one thing. It happens to be one thing that helps their pain, but it's only one thing. We're affecting the brain, which affects everything. So if they're comparing like that, put it back. We are not the same. But in Jay's response, and it was, I believe it was November 2nd. So if you go back into Team Vaccination, go back in and look for the post that had about the bracelets. Jay's response, and it goes along with what I had already written down that I was going to say. But if you look at his response to everything that he's saying, he asks a question back. So he's making them acknowledge something that they've made a claim to that isn't true. So, so he says, every time we get defensive, we lose our position of strength. This is what I would say. So in comparison to, oh, that's the same test as the copper bracelets. Oh, really? There's a bracelet that does what our neurotech, I'm reading right from his thing. There's a bracelet that does what our neurotech does. That sounds cool. So basically you're saying the bracelet's a copycat of us, not us being a copycat of them. So you're creating a posture there, but you're also creating a question in their mind. Oh, well, maybe it's not the same. Maybe I should learn more. So they don't want to look stupid either. So they're going to respond and say, well, okay, so you tell me how it's different. Doors open, go do her. And that's a great way to, when you respond with a question and with good posture, doors will open up and you can create that conversation with them. How does it work? Meaning the bracelet. How does the bracelet work? Because if they're going to make a claim that this is the same thing, challenge their intelligence the same way they're challenging our tech. How does it work? Well, chances are they don't know. They don't have a clue. But they know that it affected some sort of a thing in their balance that they were doing. So, okay, maybe you should go look it up. Can I explain to you what ours does and how ours affects your balance? Because ours is affecting the brainstem and how it opens up those pathways so that your brain can actually figure out what's going on and analyze it better and respond better. Okay, you've just given a much better answer than they ever figured out about the copper, which didn't do what they were thinking anyway. His next question was, did you try it? Meaning the bracelets. and it makes them share their experience. Well, maybe they did and it didn't work. Maybe that's the hesitation to wearing the socks. Okay, you've just opened up that doorway of communication by asking a question and listening to their response. You know how to respond to that in the going through. The next question, he said, did you buy it? Okay, now we're going to deal with the whole price thing and that whole, do you actually believe it's going to work? How they answer that, did you buy it, is going to change how you're going to respond to your next comment or your next opening up question. Because if they didn't buy it, they don't really have an opinion. They're going by somebody else's information. Open that door that says, would you like to make your own observation about this product since you didn't try the copper bracelets? I guess I could. Okay, get them on the demo mat. Let's see if they can understand how it feels in person as opposed to trusting somebody else's knowledge on that. And the other one, so you can compare it. So they have researched and have 40,000 testimonials like we do. So now you're creating posture. Now you're creating a comparison. Do they have a testimonial page? Do they have this? Do they have that? Do they have $5 million in research and development? Do they have 10 years worth of research going on? Do they have new products? What the tech is doing for people? Well, I don't know. This is what we're doing. Would you like to hear more? I guess. If it sounds so good, if you're doing all that, there must be some value to it, right? So again, asking questions allows you to listen and respond according to what's going on and according to what that person has been dealing with in the past and what they're dealing with right now. And that way you can relate to them a lot better. It's pretty cool that these are the types of things that Jay is actually saying, and he's responding to some of our concerns. So he's just listen to him. Go back and if he goes and posts something, print it off and keep it in a binder somewhere, because somewhere down the line you're going to need that information too. So all of that is that one response from Facebook, from what he had done. And it's also the reason why I want you to go back and do the videos, because every single question, going back to what Angela Corns had said on her little video from the page, every single question that you're asking on this Facebook page has already been answered somewhere. Either we're going to find it for you or you're going to find it yourself. It's already been answered. I can guarantee you're not going to be asking an original question. The fact if you can't find it means that you might need help finding it. Or if we need clarification, we might have to go back to Jay. But absolutely, just get out there and do more research. Get out there and study a little bit more. The third one, I hope that answers all the questions about objections about the tech itself. Basically in that, go ask more questions. Just reading some stuff. Okay, yeah, so that answers the questions about the objections to the tech. And the third thing that I wanted to address, hopefully we're not going too much over time, is a very important one, and it's a super simple one too, is the objections that we have in ourselves. So you can actually be your worst enemy when it comes to these vendor shows, because your confidence isn't there, or you're not sure of how to talk to people, so you just kind of shy away, or maybe you're an introvert. I'm totally picking on introverts because I'm totally the 100% one of them. You're using your introvert style and reach people. There's a really simple way to combat that. If you're dealing with the objections that you have on yourself, in your own business, maybe it's a money mindset, which has been dealt with in another one of these calls. Maybe it's a whole psychological thing within yourself of dealing with rejection. I'm going to give you something so simple, you're going to shake your head and say, why didn't I think of that before? Of how to deal with the objections you have with yourself. And all you have to go to is the opportunity the whole thing that Jay describes in the Ikigai, which is, I'm drawing a blank now. Oh, your reason for being. So Ikigai means your reason for being. So why do you get up in the morning? What's the reason you get up? That's your reason for being. That's your Ikigai. And your Ikigai is a feeling. It's actually an emotion. But Vox Life is built on that, on the 4 pillars that feed into that. And I don't know if you know them, but I'm going to make you memorize them. We have something the world needs. So if you're taking notes, write these down, because it'll save you from looking it up on the video, which I want you to do anyway. But we have something the world needs. We love what we do. We are committed to self-improvement. We get compensated for doing so. So those of you that love mantras and affirmations, every day you repeat these to yourself. We have something the world needs. We love what we do. We are constantly improving ourselves. We get compensated for doing so. Okay? I'll show you how this is going to help you. Do you believe that the world needs this? Worst introvert world. If you believe that the world needs this and you see somebody on the street that's struggling, you will reach out to them. If you truly believe this is what the world needs, that statement alone will make you go out of your comfort zone and go reach that person. Jay's given us the tools. He's given us the between the free patches and the discounted patches. There's no excuse to cost-wise to do that, but we have an obligation to share. And there is not a shy, introverted person in the world that would not reach out to somebody who needs their help. So when you repeat that day after day after day, I have something that the world needs, it will give you the confidence to get out there. And, you know, for the ones that are out there and they're helping everybody anyway, perfect. But understand your reason for doing this is because you have something that the world needs. We love what we do. When you start helping people and that whole feeling, that whole reason for being comes into play with it, your purpose is being fulfilled. When you help people, you do love what you do. And it's no longer work. It's part of it. It's part of who you are. And so it's accept that when you grasp that, you do love what you do. That's part of the mission. That's part of being able to reach out to other people is feeling that purpose in what you do, loving what you do. And then being committed to self-improvement. So if you are on this call, you're already, because you are committing yourself to understanding more and more about this company and more about this tech and more about yourself. So you're self-improvement. And kudos to you. Kudos to everybody who can get on. I'm not always on the Monday night calls because of commitments that I have on Monday nights. But you know what? Get on the recording. That's why Terry's got that little red flashy thing in the corner. It's recording. It's there. So these are just, you can see 56 people on the call. Cool. And there's going to be probably about 100 and so more to the recording. But you are committed. So you are part of that mission. You are part of the 4 pillars. That's cool. Now, I want you to take a look at the compensation plan of this. And I'm saying that with a little bit of a judgmental tone, because if you're looking to make money and you don't have 3 pillars in there, you're going to have a hard time with getting compensated for what you do. Because if your actions stop you from helping people, you're not going to reach out to them. Pillar 1's gone because you're too scared of rejection. You're too scared of whatever. Trust me, I've been there. It's okay to be at that step, but be willing to go past that and understand the people You know about 350 of those. So how are those 350 people going to know about Vox unless you reach out to them? It's okay to reach out to them.
Hang on one second there. Right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think it's got it. I think you got it.
Okay.
So believing in that first pillar, it's going to really get hard to make some money at this business. So understand where your position is in that. And number two, if you don't love what you do, it's going to be really hard to do that too. So if you're going out, you're drudgingly going out to your vendor shows, and you're going to look miserable, people aren't really going to want to interact with you. It's going to be really hard to make some money. So when pillar 2 is gone, compensation goes down. And pillar number 3, committing yourself to self-improvement, there's a pride that comes when you spend time on yourself. And there's a sense of accomplishment that comes with that. And that too is shown when you go to a vendor show or when you start talking to people. Able to have the tools that we have in Vox is incredible. To have the trainings that we have, to have the conferences that we have with Jay. When he gets on his corporate call, get on them or get on the recording. We have such a vast amount of information that we don't have to go to any other courses if we don't want to. I mean, they're out there. A lot of us are in the Ray Higdon group because Jay has sponsored us, or we've decided to go on our own. And, whole Facebook Live is going to be alert. It's going to be all over the place tomorrow. But we are committing to improve ourselves, and we are going to get compensated for that. And one of the conversations that Terry and I did have in regard to that is that network marketing is different. You get paid differently in network marketing because of the work ethic. So this is one where you work and you work and you work, and then you put more money into the business, you buy more banners, you buy more flyers, and you're kind of in the hole a little bit, and then you make a bit of money. And then you do a little bit more work and more work and more work, and now you're break even. And now you're about a year in, you do more work and more work and more, and then you're really starting to get into this, you're really starting to help people, you're really starting to get yourself out there and to drive. You're going to get compensated a little bit more. Timeline is a little different than a regular job, but the more work you put out, it's gonna come, but you have to be patient. I've been in this since January of 2017, so I'm almost 3 years. I'm just getting into that world where, this is kind of cool, but it's taken a long time. I'm very thankful that I didn't have to push it too hard at the beginning, because my personality was one that I had to own it, and I had to really educate myself so that I could educate other people. But allow yourself the growth, but understand that it is going to come if you follow the 3 pillars before it. The compensation pillar is there, but the 3 other pillars have to balance it out. So that's where, you think of 4 pillars. If you only have 3 of them in the workings of 4, it's not going to work. You have to have all 4 pillars. You have to understand that you have something the world needs. You have to understand that when you love your job, it is going to come back and feed you. And that when you improve yourself, when you commit to yourself, you're going to get compensated for all of that. So if anything out of this whole talk that you get, even aside from all of the objection stuff and everything else, if all you do is write down those 4 pillars and repeat them every day, Vox is going to boom like crazy from now until Christmas, because the world is going to see something different in you. These all work together. Like Jay's no dummy. He's got this all figured out. He's trying to teach us. Take what he's been giving us and grab a hold of it, because it is pretty phenomenal. So
just one question, Darlene, as we go here. A question. One of the objections is this is from Angela, that is heard most is a placebo effect.
yeah.
So touch on, if you will, a little bit about handling a placebo. I know how I handle it.
Okay.
A lot of people use the word and don't even know what it means. So
Yeah,
just heard it before.
totally. So when I first started out, I actually got a different pair of insoles as well. I got a pair of the highest end Dr. Scholl's insoles so that I could do it on all, like no insoles, Dr. Scholl's insoles, our insoles, and go back and forth. One of my hesitations with using the patch is that you can't take it on and off if you want it to stick on them. So usually I say, okay, are you going to challenge me on this? Because if you're going to challenge me, you got to take your shoes off. If you're not going to challenge me, I'll put the patch on you. And you're just like, well, okay, I'll take my shoes off. But when I do the balance test myself, I'll say, okay, I want you to put your best effort into this, meet my resistance, like Kevin Duguay says, but don't kill me. And I want you to ground yourself, stay good and strong. I'm going to try and lift up one side. Let's see how your body deals with that. And I do that. And then I go and do it, and they look at me and they say, well, I didn't realize I was that weak. Okay, well, that's beside the point. But right away, I do it again. And I point out the objection. So this is this blocking thing. I point out the objection. You might think that this is a placebo, and you might think that this is a learned response. So we're going to do this again now that you know what I'm doing. And I lift them up again. They already know what I'm doing. They know how the pressure is going to feel on their hands, and I can still blow them away. Now we're going to put the tech on you. And I don't make any other explanation. I just say, hands down by your side, same as before. Let's do it again. No, like none of this subconscious brain melding thing. You know, I'm not telling you that this is going to work better. I'm not telling you your brain's going to homeostasis. All I'm saying is, let's do it again. And I do it again. Okay. Now, if this was a learned response, you should be able to step off, and I should be able to do it again, and you're going to stay solid, right? Yeah. If this is a placebo effect, you should be able to override that, correct? Because placebo is a mind game. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Lift them up, push them right over. Would you like to get on the shoes again, or on the insoles again? Yeah, do it again. Let's do it again. Do it again. And then they step back. Do it again. Okay. And usually like the harder ones are 3 or 4 times over before they honestly start to accept the fact that this is actually happening. So you have to allow them to own it. And this is where, again, I would rather see 5 people commit to the demo at a vendor show than have 500 people come through my. You can take that time, and sometimes you don't have that time. And honestly, you've planted a seed. You've done your share of the mission. Plant a seed. Allow them to move on if they don't have time to talk. But the next time they go and see a vendor, they're likely going to ask them more questions. So team comes in, the whole #1 team, you may be planting a seed for somebody else's sale. But when you fall back into those 4 pillars, it's okay. You will get compensated somewhere down the road, because someone else who's done the same thing, you're going to get their sale. So this is the thing. So as that placebo, go on and off with the tech and just say, so what makes this a placebo for you? What am I doing that you're believing that you're doing a better effect on the insoles or off? Well, I can't explain that. I said, I can't explain to you exactly what's happening in these synapses that are going up and down, but I can feel it. You've just answered that question. So again, answer that objection, either block it or answer it with a question. What makes you think this is a placebo? Well, all these other, I've already been shafted out of hundreds of dollars because everybody thinks that they can cure my arthritis, and they can't. It's like, we can't either, but we can change how your brain is interacting with your arthritis, is reacting with inflammation, which is one of the problems with arthritis. Would you be willing to try that? Okay.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that you touched on tonight, and absolutely fabulous, Darlene. I love having coffee with you. I love when we make a plan and decide what we can help the field with. But the 4 pillars of Ikigai are so amazing. And it's funny, Jen Moyer and I were out tonight, been running a couple errands, and we talked about a teammate that Jen had who, had said about, I had a show and it wasn't real busy and I just sold one pair of socks and so on. And Jen simply said to her, don't make it about selling socks. Make it about helping somebody. Make it about we have something the world needs. And so she waited. A day later, it might have been 2 days, I can't remember what Jen said, and this particular person called her back and was just thrilled to the moon. She was at a restaurant and she saw somebody that was, struggling, and she shared it with them. And then the table even beside them and the manager all bought product from her because she didn't make it about selling socks. She made it about helping people. And that's one of the key things. We have something the world needs. And it was such a key point even to me tonight to totally understand that and remind ourselves every night, because from day one, I always said the money will look after itself. You love what you do. Continue to work towards self-improvement. Get better. You have so much more to offer. We all have greatness within us. We just have to learn how to bring it out. And when we truly love what we do and share those, what I've always said, those moments, those profound moments that will come.
Yep.
They've come for all of us. And engage. That's really, really where the key is, those 3 pillars. The fourth one called we get compensated, that takes care of itself. You don't even have to worry about that one. And I think that, there's things that we see at shows too. And there's a difference between skepticism and objection. At least objection, you have somebody that's interacting. You know what I mean? And, the feel, felt, found. When somebody's skeptical, I know how you feel. I felt the same way. But what I found is, and work on your story. And make your story less than 30 seconds. Before I knew about this technology, I was dealing with this, this, and this. And somebody just like me offered to share it with somebody like you. And I was skeptical as heck.
Yeah.
And so I know how you feel. I felt the same way. And then you ask them permission. Do you mind if I share just a 30-second story of what happened with me? And sometimes people are intrigued because, people, inquiring minds want to know sometimes. And I've always found in a show sometimes when you go out and start with gratitude, start with thanking people. Hey, thanks for, supporting the show. Hope you're having a great day. And if you're here to discover new and innovative products, we have just such an animal. Come on back and see us when you have a minute. And a lot of times they go, well, what do you have? And so there it starts, right? So you haven't been intrusive. You haven't invaded their space. You've actually thanked them and said, hey, us vendors really appreciate your support. We really appreciate you coming here. And I'm sure you came here to see new and innovative and exciting things. And we certainly believe we have one of those things that the world needs, which then again draws onto the pillar and the posture that you take to stand behind your product. And one of the other key things that you said tonight that really strikes me as always, and it's taken a while for me to get there, because my characteristic always is to, fight back. And one of the key things you said that, and Jay says too, is if you get defensive, you lose the position of power, right? And so that is very, very key. And I love the fact of how you handle that with listening and asking questions. And I was at a show, and that reminds me when Jay said about, we're talking about the copper bracelets, because I was at a show one time and Jay came to visit, and Kevin Dugay's on this is on this call, and he was there, and I think Paul Austin was there too, and a gentleman came up and said there was a crowd of a few, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 or 8 people, said, shouts from the back row. That's the same as the copper bracelet. And Jay was right there, and Jay said, oh, really? What does the copper bracelet do?
Yeah.
And so the gentleman, you could see his face going red. And he said, no, I'm very curious. I'd really love to know what the copper bracelet does compared to what this product does. And the guy says, I really don't know. And he said, so you don't know what the copper bracelet does, yet in front of these 6 or 7 people, you make a statement that it's the same as what this is. He said, I'm the inventor of this product. We have helped over X amount of people. Please don't tell me how my cow milks when you don't even know how yours does. That's what he said to the guy. Right? So now, I don't suggest that to the field to say that, but
no, unless you're the inventor.
no, but the posture was basically he asked the person what it does. You had the gall to make a statement. Please explain to me how the copper bracelet works, right? And
once you understand that, once you understand where they're coming from, now you know how to respond to them.
That's right.
But you don't know that until you ask a question.
Yeah. So human interaction is I'm just going to go and cap this. Great training. Thank you. Placebo means you believe me, and my personal experience is nobody believes me. Bamboo tree. We all rise with the tide. Great comment, Nancy. Jen Moyer, I tell people if it's placebo, it's lasted me over 3 years. It's all about making connections too, not just sales. So true, Carolyn. Valuable information, human interactions, great. Can't wait to watch this back. I think we all should watch this again. Ask, I thank them, ask, what have you learned at the conference and what are you looking for? That's awesome. That's a great line, Kevin. I thank them for being there. Ask them what they've learned at the conference and what are they looking for, right? So that's great stuff. But knowing, I think identifying the difference between skepticism and objection is very important too, because you know you can use the feel, felt, found with the skeptical side, right? Because you know you can empathize with them and say I felt the same way until somebody just like me shared it with someone like you, and that you was me, right? And so those are great things. I think your training is awesome. I love it. I got notes and notes and notes here. We are going to have you on again. I will be reaching out. Anybody else on this call that has something they want to share, has something, if anybody has any questions, we're past the hour. So I guess what we will do is we will just one announcement I want to make. Next week I haven't lined up the training, but I think that I might have Angela Corns and Noella Liberty doing the Vox Life game show question and answer next Monday night. So we did the first one, and it's time to do another Vox Life game show Q&A. We are the only game show that has no prizes. So we hope you come on the call. So anyways, thank you.
I missed it last time.
Yeah, well, you didn't miss a prize. But it's all about learning. It's all about sharing. We thank you so much on behalf of everybody on the field here, Darlene. It's always a pleasure. Fantastic training. Can't wait to get the recording up and place it on there. If you're on this call tonight and you have people that are on your team and they want to build a business, they need to watch this training. They need to go into the units tab under recordings. And as Darlene said, go back, look at any of the trainings. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, just under Terry Salmon on YouTube, you can subscribe. I have all the trainings from past back there as well. And we appreciate you all for coming on the call. We appreciate everything you do to help meet the mission. And as Darlene said, look at the 3 pillars, and the 4th one will take care of itself, right? The financial one will always take care of itself. We love what we do. We have something the world needs, and we're committed to self-improvement, and we're all getting better, and it's so nice to see. So thank you all for being on the call tonight. I'm going to unmute everybody to say good night. You're all unmuted. Say good night to Darlene.
Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night. Thank you.
You can say good night. You can hear us now.
Have a good night.
Good night, all. Thank you so much for being on. We'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great week. Bye for now.